Alright, this is a car booking system created with Laravel. Let me show you what it does or how it works. Now here, to book a car you just need an account. So as of now I'm a new user, so I'll be clicking on register and I'll register myself as Matthew, and you can give any name, and the email matthew@gmail.com, and the password and the phone number, some random phone number, and the pickup and the address, some random pin code. Click on submit. Now you are a registered user, you can log in now. Now I'm using the credentials which I have created earlier on the register page and click on login. Now as of now I have not made any book, so the table is blank. So let me just book a car. So from CST to Thane, and the date is going to be tomorrow, and you can give any time. Click on book now, and now as of now we have one ride for the user Matthew. So let me just log in as an admin and change the status, either accept, reject, or completed. Let me just do that. Now this is the login page for admin. So as of now UI Monk is the only admin. Click on login, and the recent ride that we got is from Matthew, you can see. And if you want to make it reject, you can click on reject, and the status now changed to reject. Now let me just get into that Matthew account and click a refresh, and you should see the status is rejected. So as a Matthew, let me just make another ride from Kalyan to CST, and the date, click on book. So I have made another ride, this time Kalyan to CST. So now let me get into the incognito mode where the admin is logged in. Make a refresh, and you should see Matthew again, Kalyan to CST, and let me just make this approve. So now let me get back to the Matthew account and make a refresh, and you should see status approved. So here you can manage multiple user. Let me just create another account, click on register, and this time let me just make this and let me just give the name as Bruce, and email bruce@gmail.com, password same, some random phone number, some random pin code. Click on submit. Now let's just log in. Now let's just book a ride in the name of Bruce. So the from CST to Thane, some random date. Click on book now. So you have just made one booking with the name Bruce. So let me just get into the admin account and click refresh. So Bruce from pickup to from CST to Thane. Let me just make this approve. So let's just get back to the Bruce account and let's just see the status is approved. So not only this, we have made the validation. If you click on login, you should see validation, and over here if I get into register and click on submit, again it also has validation. And if you try to access the dashboard directly, you won't be able to access unless you are a logged in user. Dashboard home, and you'd be thrown back with a message login or register to access dashboard. And if you're new to this channel, you can start learning Laravel from the playlist. So this playlist starts from the absolute beginner to the intermediate level. So in this case you are learning Laravel, so you need to get into that Laravel playlist. And here I have approximately 30 videos, and if you are a very beginner, I would suggest you to start from episode number 1 and reach till here. And now I can mute this, and right now we are at the episode number 30. So we have seen installing form validation, and we are at the stage where we are able to convert the HTML template into Laravel template and add validation, and then use the Laravel's authentication system and use the middleware to block the URL. So we at episode number 30 you can confidently say that what are all things what I've said previously, you can confidently say you can do that. So let's just, I would be upgrading this playlist every week, so enjoy the process. Now you can download the HTML template from the ColorLive website. I'll leave the link in the description. So to follow what I do is I'll leave the current project in the description, so in case you got stuck somewhere, just copy paste and start along with me. So this is the ColorLive website. This is the template that we have used. Click on the download and you can start along with me. Alright, now let's start installing our Laravel project. First thing, we need to open our command prompt cmd. So make sure your XAMPP is running. As of now it's not important, but later on once it's created, once the Laravel is created, we need to link our folder with the PHP myadmin, which is database. Now let's just navigate to the C drive, which is change directory, and get into XAMPP, change directory htdocs, change directory Laravel projects. In this Laravel folder we have all our Laravel projects. Now we have to run the code for installing Laravel. So I'm just going to give the name as book1, the folder as book1. So I'm saying to the composer, which is a command line interface, create a project, it's a command, and download the Laravel folder and name the folder as book1 and let the preferred version be 8.6.3. So the installation is done. Now we need to get into that folder book1, and inside that we need to install two more things, which is authentication package and the Laravel UI package. Let's just do that. So this code is for Laravel UI package and this code is for authentication package. And now once it's done, we need to do one thing, which is npm install. So once you run npm install, we need to run npm run dev, and if it doesn't work again, you have to run npm run dev again. Make sure to see the table at the end. Until you see the table, it means that your Laravel is not completely installed. This is what I meant. Now let's run our Laravel project. Here php artisan serve, this will run your Laravel project in the browser and says you have to open this IP address to 127 to check your Laravel project. Now if you see this screen, this is a welcome screen from Laravel. That means your Laravel is completely loaded. And as you see on this home page, sorry, as you see in the header, you will see these two links. These two links refers that your authentication package is also loaded with the Laravel UI package. If your Laravel UI is not loaded, you won't see this beautifully arranged text boxes. You will just see HTML, you won't see CSS applied to it if Laravel UI package is not applied. So if you see this page, that means the two package that you have installed, which is Laravel UI and Laravel authentication, has been installed properly. Now what we will do is we will convert this login and register to our custom HTML. So the custom HTML, which I have stored it in the desktop and named it as Ep34 booking. So in the HTML we have three HTML. So this is book.html, and this is login.html, and one last, which is register.html. Cool. Now you see these three pages. We have to convert it as this login and register. So let's just do that. The first thing what we need to do is let's directly jump into creation of. Now you can see the server is running in this command prompt. Let's just open another command prompt for writing the code to the Laravel. So let's just navigate to the projects which we have created right now. XAMPP cd htdocs cd Laravel package, Laravel project cd, and the project which we are about to work on is nothing but book. Cool. Now we want to open our Visual Studio Code. So code dot, by writing this code, what will happen is your book folder will open in Visual Studio Code, so you don't have to, one is already loaded the Visual Studio Code. Now let's create a database. So we'll create it on, but let's just create the database and connect to it. If you localhost php myadmin, this page will only open up when your MySQL is running. And now what we are going to do is we would be creating a database in phpMyAdmin, which is phpMySQL, and we have to link that database, create a database to the Laravel folder which we have created right now. So to link that, what we need to do is we have to get into the env, which is nothing but environment file. So here you will find a database connection, and this is the database. Click on register, sorry, click on new. Now let's just give the same name as our folder name, so to avoid confusion, which is book1, create, and let's get into env file, create book1, and that's it. Your Laravel folder is now connected to your database. Now if you write a code for creation of model and creation of migration file, Laravel will connect with phpMyAdmin and it will create a table for you. That's why we have linked it. So we'll look at this in this video later on, but let's just focus on converting the HTML to Blade. Now when I search for home, what Laravel will do, simply when I search for home, actually now it's redirecting me to login page because we need to log in before getting into home. So Laravel will get into routes web.php, and you can see when there is a call for home, Laravel will look into this controller, and this controller has a function called index, and this function has the code. So let's just see in the app, in the HTTP, in the controller we have home controller, inside index we have, it's just saying return the view called home. If I comment this part, now you will be able to access the home. Concept of middleware will come in this video, but let's just be patient until it comes. Now if I have commented it, now we can have access to this home. So you can see it is nothing, just returning the view from the resource folder views, and you can see home.blade.php, and if you type something hello, you could see hello over here. Well, it's done. Now that's enough for the understanding of calling of HTML. Now what we will do is we will get into the authentication, and here we have two files default. Book login will delete that, and register will delete that. Now if I search for login, you'll see a blank page. So you see a blank page. So again in the web.php, it's better that we create, or no, as of now it's just a default one, login and register. It's not going, it is anyway going to return your view called login and register. So let's just open our HTML, which is login.html, which you can find in the desktop version number 34. So if you want, you can pin this over here as well. So let's just do that so that you don't have to every time get into database and access it. Now over here in the HTML, in the login, let me copy all the code and paste it in login. And for the register, let me just open the register, copy all the code and paste it in register. Now this isn't enough. We know to run the HTML we need the relevant HTML and CSS. So in the folder of HTML we already have assets folder which has CSS and images. So we need to access, or we need the access of CSS and images to this Blade. So in that case what we will do is we'll get into a Laravel projects book1, and here this is the file, this is the folder where you have to place your CSS assets. And if you want, you can just name it as, name a folder called frontend, and inside the frontend you can paste the asset. Now what you have to do is you have to link your folder, which is, since this is Laravel, we are going to use Blade, and we are going to use Laravel function asset, and we know it's inside the folder called frontend, and inside the frontend we have asset, and then we can paste our static HTML, say static link. The same way, and since we are using Laravel function, so Blade is important. Now if I search for register, the URL, syntax error, Let's just see, we have missed the single quotes. I think we just have one asset folder. Else is missing. Double quoted string. It says on line number 19, which is style.css. Of course, we have missed the round bracket, and here we have missed the blade. Cool. Now you can see your register page. The same way, if I copy this and paste it into login, sorry, what we have to do is this login is different. We'll just paste the header. Now you see there is a problem here. Now let me create another page, and let me just open the book.html. Let me copy the whole HTML and paste it, and here we'll create a new file which is book.blade.php. Just paste it, and again in the book.blade.php we have to again link these two files. So you would be noticing a problem here, because if I change one file, I have to make changes in all the three files. So to stop that, what we can do is we'll create a parent folder and call it as layout, and inside the layout we'll just create a new file and call it as app.blade.php. and over here we can copy the head part and the footer part, and the same way now we can remove the head part from login and footer part from login. The same way we can remove the head part from register and footer part from register. So this isn't enough. Now what we need to do is we need to call this app into the files which we have removed the head part and footer part. So how we'll be calling it? We'll be extending ext and ds extends app. So till view we will have access. So inside view we have auth, inside auth we have layout, inside layout we have app. And this isn't enough. Now what we need to do is in the app.blade.php, which is the layout, he will be using yield here, yield. So here we need to give a passcode container. Now we have to surround this section with the passcode, which is container. Since we open the container, we have to close the container also at the rate end section. So we have to do this in all. The end section is also important. Whenever you open a section, we have to close this section. Now for the register also, now if you click on register, there won't be any change. This is register and this is login, and the route for book is not created yet, so we won't be able to access that, but we'll create controller and then we'll access that, the book .blade.php. So as of now you understood. Now in this case you will see book form HTML and booking form HTML. These two have the same title. If you want to change the title, again you need to give the passcode. We'll name it as title, and we want the login page to have a title called login at the rate end section. So login, the passcode. The same way for register, we only see register. We won't be able to see the book. So even though we'll write it's for book a car. Now if I change, you'll see this is register and this is login. Cool, that's enough. Now let's just convert our admin LT. So if I open admin LT file, HTML file, so here you'll find admin LT. So this is for admin LT. You don't have to look at this sidebar. Now what you can do is again get into the view and create a new folder and call it as admin, and inside the admin we need to create index dot blade.php. Now to access the admin we need to create a controller. So let's just create two controller, one controller for front end, one controller for back end. So let's just do that. So we have two control command prompts running. So this command prompt is specifically for writing codes. So this code is for front end, which is login, register and HTML. So I'm telling to the artisan, make a controller and name it as front end and create all the required resources. Now let's just create one more controller for back end. Click on enter. So we have front end and we have back end. So in the app, in the HTTP, in the controllers, you will find front end and back end. Now, so let's just get into web.php. So here we have two more controllers, which is front end and another one is back end. So now what we need to do is, so let's just focus on login first. When there is a call for login, get into login. So we'll change the URL to login dot slash customer, and for register also register slash customer. So the relevant function we can make is login customer and register customer. So we'll name the route as same as our function name, and one more thing we'll be having book a car, which is book and book customer. Now the relevant function we need to create on the front end. So here we have not opened the front end yet, so control V, front end. Now let me just get this close, control V again to hide. Now we need to create this function login customer. We have login customer and we have register customer, and then we have book customer. So these are the functions. Now what we need to do is we need to return view, and inside view we have auth and then we have login. So this is for login and this is for register, and then we have book. Now if I search for login slash customer, you should open login slash, it should open login page. The same way register slash customer should open register page, and again the same way if I open book dot customer, it should open book a car. Cool. Now let's just do the same for the admin LTE. So we have to do the same process as we did earlier. So create, open the HTML of admin LTE and copy the whole section and get into resources, views, admin, and here just paste it. And now in the web.php, now what we need to do is, so just search for admin slash home, or you can say dashboard. So this dashboard is going to be common for admin as well as for customers. So dashboard slash home. So dashboard home is the function, and this is backend of course, and this is the name of the route. So we have to do the same, copy the function, and in the backend we have to create another function, and which is dashboard home, and the login for it is, sorry, the view for this is, we have to get into auth, then we have to get into admin, then we have to get into index. So what we can do is, instead of admin, we can make this as dashboard. And dashboard. Now let me search for dashboard home. You should see the HTML. The function does not exist. There seems to be dashboard home web.php. The function, copy the function and paste it. This is backend of course, and let me just get into there. So here we have access till view. Inside view, sorry, resources, where is resources? Inside views, we have dashboard, inside dashboard we have index. Sorry, it's not inside auth, it's in the separate folder called dashboard. Cool, now you can see the HTML. Now the same way we have to get into the HTML and copy all the assets, and get into our Laravel project, which is book1, into public, and then we can create a new folder and call it as backend, and then just paste your HTML, sorry, paste your CSS and all the relevant folders for loading HTML. So the reason for creating frontend and backend is we can separate all our CSS for backend and for frontend differently, or manage it differently. Now the same way, it's inside dashboard or backend folder, and then we have to surround it with a function called asset, and we are going to use the Laravel blade, and it's a single quotes, control V, close the single quote, close the open round, close the round bracket, and close the blade. The same way we need to do it on all the script file as well, script tag as well. Now, sorry, I'm doing this in the wrong file. You have to do this in the index.blade.php. Cool. Now let's check. Now you would see the that it's loading properly. All the relevant HTMLs are loaded. The dashboard also loads properly. You can see we have converted the HTML to the blade for blade of admin LT. If I press Ctrl U and see the CDN, sorry, see the link for the CSS, it's perfectly in the way of absolute. So this is called absolute URL because it's starting from domain. And there seems to be one more problem. In the index we have not called it. This is inside the backend file, sorry, backend folder. That's the reason some of the JS is not loaded properly. and if I press, yeah, you can see it's working. So cool. Now if I directly try to access dashboard home, it is allowing me. So what we need to do is we need to stop. We need to make sure only the logged in user can have access to it. So for that, let's just create the authentication part. So to create the account, we have to get into the register slash customer, and these are the fields that we required while registering. So what are that? Name, email, and we have phone, and we have address. Cool. So let's just create the database, sorry, table for the user. So we need to create a migration file first. Let's just do that. And once you create a migration file, you would see it in the database folder, migration, and you have customer. So here we need to write code for creating columns. So here what we can do is, and since we have created migration, we need to know in which table we are going to migrate. So for that we need to create a model. So the model is going to be customers. Now let's create a customer model, and we have mistakenly deleted this. So let me just delete this. We don't need this because we should create model. So if we create model with this yum, it would automatically create the relevant migration file. So here let me just copy it from another. We want I think in the register we have missed one field, which is password. Let me just add one. So in the desktop, sorry, not in the desktop, in the routes, in the resources, views, auth, and then we have register. Let's create one more field for password. Control V, and input type password. So we have one more field called password. So if you want to do one more to check whether the password is right or wrong, we'll look at it the later on videos, but let's just focus on login first. So we have password, we have name, we have email, name, email. Actually here it should be email. We have name, we have email, we need phone, and then we have password, and we have address, and now what I need to do is we have to write the code php artisan migrate. Once you write this code, these code will be converted to tables. So in the php myadmin, localhost php myadmin, the book, and inside the book you would find some tables, and we have to focus on is the customers table. And here in the customers table you should see we have name, email, phone, address, password. So now what we need to do is, if I click on register, if I click on submit, all the data should send into this table. So for that we have to get into the form. Here we would have a form, and let's just make action equal to, we'll write a URL here, and make sure you have a method post, and then we have @ cross site request forgery. and here we have route. We will be passing the route name, so the name of the route we will keep it as register submit. Since we are writing this inside the blade, so this is a wait function, so we need to write it inside double curly braces. So let's just create in the front end, let me just create one more route, which here we are submitting data, so the method is going to be post, and this is the relevant URL, and this is the relevant function that is going to handle, and this is the name of the route. This name of the route should match with this action attribute. Now here in the front end, since we have given the function name, we will be creating a function which would accept the request. So why request? Because it has HTML fields. We can access the HTML fields over this register reference. So dump and die is a PHP function, dollar reference, and then we have all. Now if you click on submit, you should see the data that has been passed. So data that is passed is simply the token. Now it is because we have not properly named the field, so we should give the name. Here the name is going to be name. This should match with your table name, email, phone, it's password, sorry, and then we have phone, and then we have address. Register, so it's a post, it won't work. Now if you click on submit again, actually the HTML is not ordered, refresh the HTML and then click on submit, you should see some of the data that is null. So we can stop the null, we can stop the blank variable that is being passed on submit. So we need to create a validation, so let's just do that. So here with the help of this request reference, we have a validate function. So we have to give name, of course we have password also, we have name, we have email, we have password, we have phone, and we have address. And now we have to store this reference to a variable called data, and then we have to use the model. So we have to call the customer model here. So here I'm calling the user model, calling the customer model. So let's just find the model name, so it's just customer, and now I have called all the relevant model name. The authentication we may need, the hash is responsible for converting your password data text field to your hash based password, and session for passing message between two pages. Now we have stored the data, we stored all the input field to the variable called data. Now this is password field, and this is email, this is phone, and this is address. So this is coming from the input field, and this is the column name. And once this is done, we can show the message on the register page, which is, we have named it as, we have named the register page as register customer, and with the message registered successfully. And let's just display the message just below your, let's just create a row, let's just create column, call SM12, and here we can create an alert success, and here we'll be sending the message, and we'll be just displaying the message. So if there is a message, then just display the message, that's it. So not to break the HTML, let me just get this code inside the session. So if there is a session, then only we'll be able to see the HTML. So this is alert, and this is for SM row, and this is for column. So once registration is done, then only we'll see the message. You can see there is no message. Let me create vishal@gmail.com, password same as email, and phone number some random phone number, and zip code 421201. Click on submit. Password does not have default value. So first thing what we have to check is whether the name is right. Password, yes, seems to be right. And in the model, app models custom, here we have to write the fillables. So we have email, we have phone, we have address, and that's it. Let's just do again some random values, sorry, equal to a phone number. Click on submit. So now you would see it's just accepting name, email, and that's it. So if I click on submit, you should see the validation error is not showing up. To see the validation message, what you have to do is you have to get into the HTML and use the error directive and pass the name here and close the end error directive, and in between we can have the errors variable, and we need to use the first function and pass the name. Now if you submit, you should see the validation message below. This is required, so we can write this inside span, and this span can have the text color. Now if you make a submit, you should see this name is required. The same way we have to do this for all the input field. Make sure to give the proper name, or else it won't work properly as intended. This is also required. Again, this is also required. So this is episode number 34. We have seen validation for the last 30 videos, so I'm not going to focus much on the validation here. In case if you're interested to learn, just look for the previous videos. Now this validation is simply coming from the validation which we have given. If you click submit, you'll see the relevant messages. So you can also modify the message. We have seen this earlier in the resources, in the lang, in the validation, and search for required, and you can make this short just by giving name required. Click on submit, you see name required, email required, password required, and so on. Now the thing is, name, actually we are inserting the wrong value here. It should be password. That's why it was showing an error. Now let me fill this thing again. Vishal@gmail.com, and password and phone number, and 421201 is a random zip code. Click on submit, and it says registered successful. Now let's just see whether the data is filled or not. There seems to be no data filled yet. Actually it's stored in the user. We don't need to be stored in the user. The problem is I have mistakenly used the model called user. It should be customer. I'm sorry for that. Anyways, you can delete this by clicking on delete, and let's just try to sub create validation, create a user again, which is customer again. We shall email vishal@gmail.com. Password should be fast. Let's just make the same as email, and the phone number and the address. Click on submit. Registered successful. Let's click on customer. I hope now we are in the customers, and yes, the relevant data are filled properly: name, email, phone and address. Now let's just get into the login page, and again in the register we can show this, let this be 12, and we can show this row only if the session exists. So let's try again. Vishal2 @gmail.com. Password, phone, address. Click on submit, and you can see we have a login button. Click on login. We need to have an href, which would be route name, login customer, and let's just get into login, and here we can do the same thing for the login.blade.php. Resources, views, auth, login. So do the same, call the csrf token, and here it is going to be login submit. So in the web.php, create a post again. The relevant URL is login submit, relevant function, relevant route name, and this is email and this is password. We don't have name it. We have to name this. Control F, email. So we'll have the error also. The same way we can have the password also. Now once we complete this, again we need to check whether the message, if the session has a message. If the session has a message, then just display it in the row. So actually we have a row itself again inside session, and we can make this as alert danger. We'll be sending message only when the credential is incorrect. So message danger would work. Now you don't see anything. Now let's just create a function on the front, the same as we did for the register submit. Now in this case it's going to be login submit. Again, if you want, again we need validation, so create a validation. Here in this case it's just going to be name and password, and let's just see. If I click login, you should see email is required and password is required. That means working. Now let's just get the name and password, and I'm storing it into a variable called credentials. So previously we have used all, now it's only, and we are using the model here, using the where clause, and we are matching it with email. Now we have checked the email. Now we are going to check if the customer password is verified. So you can see if this is true, which is customer, and if the password is true, and of course we are checking it with the hash based password, so we have to modify the code accordingly. If the email is found and if the password is also found, then redirect them to which place, dashboard/index. If it is wrong, then we'll pass the error message. So if there is error is found, then we can redirect them to the login customer, which is login page, and with the message invalid credentials. Let's check that over here. Let me try with the validation. Yes, validation works fine. So UI monk is not yet created, so let's just check. We should see the message invalid credentials. Now let's just check with the right credentials. Vishal at gmail.com, click on login, and you should see we are redirected to the login page. So it says this URL is not found. Let me see why. Web.php, actually it's dashboard/index, so dashboard-home. So in the backend, not in the backend, the front end, the relevant URL. Let me just log in again, and yes, you got logged in into the dashboard, and we are redirected to the dashboard. But before redirecting, I want to create a session. So let's create a session, and this session would have a customer ID stored, and if the customer ID is there in the session, that means he is a valid user, he can log in. If not, he is not a valid user. You have to make the user to log in to see the dashboard. I'm talking about the creation of middleware. So we have to create a condition. Since we are using our custom login, we have to make sure we have a key and value pair. Here in this case, to create condition, we will check whether the session is created. If the session is created, then show the dashboard. If the session is not created, then don't show the dashboard. So over here, since we have created session, so let's just create a middleware. So to create the middleware, we have to get into the folder, which is book1, and here this is the relevant middleware. So the name of the middleware is check customer authentication. So here in the app, in the HTTP, in the middleware, check customer authentication. So we have to check whether the session is created or not, then only proceed to the next step. So here if the session is exist, then only proceed to this request, or else route to the register page or login page, and say the message login to access board. So let me, now we are logged in. Now session would be created. Let me just get into incognito mode 127, and here we have to get into dashboard home, and I think session is created. So this is in the final step. We have to note the custom login in the middleware, in the middleware route middleware. So here this is the name of the middleware, and this is the nickname. So we have to create a route group. So to create the route group, we have to get into the web.php, and now this is the route group that we have created, and we have to pass the nickname of the control middleware, and we want to know which page we want to restrict access. So we want to restrict the access of the dashboard. So I think that's enough. Now if I try to access the home, I would be redirected. Session not found. So instead of session, we have to get into register. Here the session is not yet created, that's why it is showing this error. So before that, we will see whether the session exists or not. actually the error was different. It could not find the class session. So once I import the class session, then I could see if I try to log in dashboard home, I would be redirected to the saying that login to access dashboard. So login or register to access dashboard. So dashboard home, now login or register to access dashboard. Cool, that working. Now we are in the logged in state. The session is already created. So UI monk, UI monk is not created, sorry, Vishal. Create gmail.com, login. So now it's there. Now we have to create a function, sorry, a link here. So in the admin, where resources, views, dashboard, index, and let's create a function, list item. Let's see whether we are able to see. Yeah, logout is there. So anchor tag will create the route. Here the route is going to be logout. So customer logout. Now we can access this customer logout. Customer logout function URL, so name route. So the function is front end. So let's create a logout function. We are not getting any request. So the name of the function customer logout, and here we are going to forget the session and then redirect them to the login page. Let's just check. I think we have missed a semicolon. Refresh it. Unclose. There seems to be an error somewhere. Unclose does not match on index.blade.php. Dashboard index, close the round bracket, and then the blade. If I click on logout, the get is not supported. Logout in the front end controller or the view, it's forced. Actually it should be get. Click on logout, and now if I try to access dashboard home, I won't be able to access. So let me just log in and try to access it. Now I have access. If I click logout and try to access it again, it says login or register to access dashboard. So we have completed the conversion of HTML to Blade, and we have created form validation, and we have completed the authentication system. Alright, now let's just focus on making this book a car work. So if you remember, we have stored our session, the row of session, the row of customer to a session, and let me just show you the row. So once you log in, you have access to all the rows. So that includes what? Name, email, phone, and address. So here, name, email, phone, already you will be getting it from the session. You don't have to ask the user again. So let me just get into book.blade.php, resources, views, auth, and we can simply remove name, email, and phone to pick up destination, and I believe this is enough to book a car. And if you have session, then only this book a car should show up. So what we did for the login check in the model, let's just get that. Sorry, not in the model but in the middleware. HTTP middleware check customer login. If the session has ID, then only show this button. So it's a Laravel, so it's a blade, so we can have @if and @end if, and if there is session, then only you will see the button. Or you can make it in this way, else @end if. I believe Bootstrap has the class disable. No, I don't think so. So let's just create one over here. Opacity 0, sorry 0.1, and cursor colon none, or cursor you can make this stop, user select none, pointer event none, cool. If you are logged in, then only you will be able to book, you will be able to click a book appointment. Let me just show you by logging in, or you can see or give a message to them saying that create a span tag, and you can type login to book a car. So again we can make this style color white, and display block. So the reason for giving display block is to have text align center. So again we can show a row with call sm6. This will have register button and this will have login button. We can copy this from register.blade.php, so one for register and one for login. Let's see. We have row, column. I don't think we have extra div. We have extra div here. Same. Cool. Login and register. Login. So once I have login, I'll be able to see the book a car. So over here, let's just make login, and we can have a link here called car. So in the admin LT, which you can find in the resources, views, dashboard, index.late.php, instead of burger you can make this my profile. So here view request, and here we can have book a car. View request and book a car, or you can make all request which we have made earlier, and a book a car. And book a car, of course, we can make this inside route, and here it's going to be what route we have given for book a car. Book customer. Let's just see. If I click on book a car, you should see a link for book a car. And if the session is available, in the book a car, if the session is available, we can also have a row again for view dashboard. Row call SM12, and this is for dashboard. And of course you can have dashboard name. Refresh this. We are in the book, and if there is a session ID, if the session has an ID, you have to get into this row. So dashboard, for another row call SM12, and sorry, my PC got shut down because of low power. It has book now and dashboard. Let's just try to make this side by side. Make sure your SAMP is running. If that doesn't make work, you can make this SM6 and SM6 so that we can have side by side. And if you get into dashboard, you can simply get there and log out. And now if you try to access book, So you will be seeing either login or register. So let me just log in with the credentials, and if I try to make a book appointment, sorry, book a car, you can see book or view dashboard. And I feel, let's just give a common CSS so that we don't get this padding. Line height 50 pixel. So height is 50, line height is not 50, that's the reason. So you can simply make display flex, align items center, and then we can have justify content center, and that's it. Just copy this and get into a style which you have dumped it in the public folder, css app.js or your frontend css style. Just paste it. Let's try, and now it would work as we expected. Now let's work on this book a car system. So again, let me just open the notepad, and now we need to find what all things that we need to store. So pick up, destination, and date, and hour, and minutes, and AM or PM. So you can make this way. Cool. And along with that, we would get the value from the session, which is name, email, and phone. That's it. So along with this, we would be having, so to create a model we need to get into the command prompt and the relevant model that we are going to create. And now since we are adding M, that means the migration files will also be created. Yes, it's done. Now you can get into the database folder, migration, book a car, and here you can fill all the details. So let me just copy this and book a car. What all things that we need? We will go by name, email, phone. It's better to have the data type string. 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then we have pickup, and then we have destination, we have date, we have hour, we have minutes, and then we have AM or PM. AM or PM. Cool. No, we don't need this. So once this is done, you can easily migrate. Control C to stop. Cool. Now we can use PHP artisan migrate. Then it will look for the table which is not yet created. It will create only that table. So it says it's done. Let's just get into the book1 database, and you will find a new table called book a car, and we have the relevant columns which we have updated. Now we need to create a controller, or simply we can use the same controller called front end over here, and in the book we will do the same thing as we did for the register. So here we need to create the form and the action. Where is the form? Yes, it's here, form, and we can make this book submit, and we will have the error show up. That means it is required. So the name should match with the column name. So this is applicable for all. So let's just do that. This record is not needed because anyway we will be using a Laravel. What all things we have? The first one is pickup, the name attribute pickup, and then the name attribute destination, and then we have date, then we have hour, then we have minute, and then we have AM or PM. Cool. Now, as I said, let's work on the validation. Copy this. Destination is the name attribute. The same way, date, hour is the name attribute. The minutes, and then we have AM or PM. So once this is done, we need to create a new route called post. So it's going to be book submit function name attribute, and the function book submit, we can have a validation. What all values that we have: name, email, phone, and then we have pickup, we have destination, and we still have 4 left, 1 2 3 4, and then we have date, hour, minutes, AM or PM. Now let's just try sending the value. Click on book. You should see pickup is required, destination is required, and rest of the thing is also required. Cool. Once it is done, what we do is we will get the value. We'll get the session first. So get the session, and store it into a variable dollar cust id, and we'll use the model called customer colon find. It will get all the rows, and we'll store it into a data called dv data, and we will again use the create function of customer. In this case it's not customer, it's book a car. Control V. So the model, we have book a car. Copy this model, and book a car. We have name, email, phone, and what else we have? We need to do pickup, destination, date, hour, minute, AM or PM. So after phone we have pickup, we have destination, then we have date, then we have hour, then we have minute, then we have AM or PM. So before that we can get this request all. We'll get all the input field values and store it into a variable called data. And now the name we can send from this DU data: email, phone, and this is for pickup, this is for destination, this is from the date input, this is from the hour input, this is from the minute input, this is from the AM or PM input. Once this is done, we need to navigate them to a page which we haven't created yet. We need to create a route where we will see all the values. So it's a get customer slash request function name, route name. So we can have this route name, and we need to send them to the customer request which is in the dashboard. So here we'll just redirect them with a message saying that what we can have a message saying that booked successfully. Now let's just check, and we may need to create one more page on the dashboard, sources, views, dashboard, and you can create one more file which is all request.blade.php, and it's better to have all the values and paste it over here, or else again we can create a one more file called layout, and here we can have app.blade.php, and we'll take the meat part, take the head and paste it here. Where it is, I think it's you have taken it from the admin. And for the footer, again @yield, we can give a passcode container, and we can surround this @end section, and section we can have container. Again we need to extend the parent here, which is inside resources, views, then we have dashboard. Inside dashboard we have a layout folder. Inside layout we have app. We are not writing views because we have access to views. So the same way goes for the request, and let's just, since we are logged in, let's just try access the what we have named the route. So in the web.php we have given, it's a get request and the relevant function. We have not made the relevant function in the front end yet, so let's just create a relevant function, and this will simply return the view. So let's just find, it's over here. So we are just going to return the view, and where it is, it's inside dashboard, and we have named it as request, and in the web.php it's the URL. Let's just try accessing that. Again we have this, and in the customer request, which is request.php, here instead of writing the card body, we can receive the message which is you have booked a car successfully. We can get it from session. If the session has a message, then just display the success message. Cool, let's just try booking it. You won't find anything as of now. And let's just get into book. I think fine. I think we have made a mistake. Well, that's we'll look in the coming episodes. So actually, what should happen is the customer should show in the whenever you write a URL, you can see the customer. Yes, customer. The customer should come in this place, and the book should come in this place. So that's the mistake that we have made. Fine, that's not a major issue until you are a good developer that you can handle all the requests. If you click book now, let's just try pickup from my location, Dovili and destination, Vandra, the pickup date, is tomorrow, and the time, let's just pick some random times. Click on book now. If everything goes well, you should be redirected to the dashboard, but it's not. Now in the book, let's just see whether the data is filled. No, data is not filled. Now in the controller, we'll see whether the data we are able to receive it or not. So copy all, dump and die is a PSV function, and let's comment all the other values. Click on book. Pickup is null, and these are things are null. That's the reason we could not able to. Let's just see why we are not able to pick the pickup. Control V. Name attribute. Name attribute. I think let's just find whether we don't have any duplicate values. So there could be one more issue. You get into the app, HTTP models. Here, just like we have made a fillables, we have to do this for the factory also. Sorry, the book a car also. So we need name, we need email, we need phone, we need pickup, we need destination, and 1 2 3 4. We still need 4. 1 2 3 4. We need data, hour, minute, AM or PM. Now let's just try again. If you click book now, you should see all the data. As of now it's blank. I think we should not allow blank also, but in the front end, let's just add validation. Okay, that's fine. We are purposely making it. Now let me try filling it. Click on book. Yes, we got all the values, and we can uncomment this. We can comment this and uncomment all the rest so that we can check the process. Doubly Vandra, the start date is tomorrow, and click on book now. Let me try one more time. Not working. Return redirect to the route. Yes, route is correct. Customer/dashboard. We are able to access that. Yes, that's also good. But maybe it could be because of the find. Maybe it's not an associative array. We can simply call this using parenthesis this is how we need to access email, phone. Let's try again. Let's just see whether it is because of database problem. I have rerun the code, rerun the PHP So that was a simple mistake. We have not imported the model called book a car over here in the header. Book a car. So now let's check. Pick up location, the date, and click on book. Now what I did is I have made the validation hidden and it says book successfully. Let's just see whether we are able to insert the value. Yes, the data has been inserted properly, but why it's not working? Let's just check that. Oh, I'm really very sorry, I could not notice some of the values is not at all available. So here in this case, name and phone is not there, destination, date, and everything else seems fine. Now click on save, and let's just try one more thing, and this time we can make this from Thane to Dombivli. The pickup date, book now, and here you should see integrity constraint duplicate entry. That is already the username, duplicate entry for key, book a car, unique email. Actually, you have made the email unique. So in the table, you have made the column as unique. It should not be unique, because anyway one user can have multiple book of car. So email change, we have to find the unique, and do we have somewhere noticed unique, unique, where we have added unique in the database migration, the Vukakar, it does not have to be unique. And let's just make a migration again, and we can make this rollback. Let's just check again. Book now, base table view not found. Actually, the migration we have to do it again. So we have made a rollback, so that removed the column itself. Now let's just try again. Book successfully. Let me just get into another, and here Dombivli to Bandra, again the same date, book now. Yes, two things are possible. Now since we are in this, we will pass this ID, and now what we are doing is we are sending the user to the dashboard, which is customer request, along with the message which we receive from the session. Just copy this and it should come over here with the message saying that this is the message that we receive. Now let's try to display the message also, so we can access this variable. I think there seems to be an issue here. Yes, got it. Now we can access this variable in the request blade, I guess. Session get with message dashboard book a car. Actually, we are passing book a car, so you can see this is 1, so we are getting 1 value with the customer ID. This is from customer. Here what we need to do is we need to display only the user specific data. So to do that we have a problem. We can able to display all the values, but if you want to display only one user's data, so when you want to display one user's data, we need to link the book a car and a customer. So you need to pass the customer ID to book a car. So let me create a structure, and of course we would need one column, and let this be cust ID and its int and save. And in the browse you will find a customer ID also, so we can delete these, and we are going to store the customer details, customer ID also, which we receive from the session. And I hope we don't need this, because let's just see, we'll filter it with ID. And if I give book a car and try to insert the values, click on go, custody does not have a default value, and yes, in the model, in the book a car, we again need to make this fillable. Booked successfully. Now in the book a car you would find the ID, which is cust ID. Actually cust ID is blank, it should not be blank. Cust ID, or simply you can access it and paste it over here. Let's just try inserting again. Book a car, some random values, book now, not in the structure but in the browser. Yeah, it's there, 1 cool. Now what we need to do is we need to filter in the request blade. We would be giving table, and we are finding it in the customer table, and we'll send this data. And with the variable now we can access this data over the request with for each loop. So we'll create this function and we'll send the data through the function of from controller. So I hope you have this function somewhere. Yeah, it's over here. It's just returning view. So before returning view, what we will do is we will get the session data and store it into the session ID, and then we will pass the data with the with variable or compact. We'll pass this data. Now we can access, or instead of customer we can make the book a car model, book a car data, and pass the book a car data. Now we can access this book a car. It's a Laravel code dollar. We can have what name? Let's try. And since I'm logged in, compact does not exist. And the right way for writing compact is this one. When you write it with view, so here attempt to read property of book car data in the register. So here what we need to do is, instead of displaying, we need to use where clause. So we have to use for each to retrieve it. So we have name, we can have email. So we have to place this according to the table row. So we'll use data table here. So data table cdn. So this is for data tables. So where it is, it's in the admin LT. Link. And then we have script. It's better to get it from the official site. This is for JS, and this is for CSS, and this is how we initialize script. And of course we have to create a table. Let's just get bootstrap table. Since our theme uses bootstrap 3, try it yourself. Copy all and just paste it. And here we should have 9, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is name, this is email, this is phone, and this is how it is. The same way, since we are using for each, let's just keep this table row and table row data, and in between we need to pass for, this is for name, this is for, this should match 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Email, phone, pickup, destination, date, time. So instead of time, what we will do is we'll just write this in this way: hour colon minute colon second. So hour, minute, AM or PM. So this is hour, this is minute, this is AM or PM. And again here we can have a button, href class VTN success, or you can simply say status. As of now it's blank. Now let's try. If everything goes right, we should see a data table. I got it. It should be because of this. Yes, hour minute second, name, email, phone, and so on. So this is all request. So all request. Let's just get into dashboard layout app. So here request. So in the app or in the index, book a car. Here the same way we need to get the route, which is request, customer request. The same way it will be applicable for request too. Now refresh this, check all request, check all requests. Action, there is a problem. That we still have a problem here. It is coming, where it is coming from. I may be in the wrong dashboard. Okay, it's book a car. It should be over here. It should be over here. Now if you want to book a car, the name is, again what we can do is CST to Dombivli, the date, click on book a car. So CST to Dombivli, and you got it. The status is pending right now. Now what we need to do is we need to create a column again, so that would say whether the status is done or pending, or create a new column and we'll name it as status, and this should be status, and here it should be varchar and 255 default value blank. Click on save, and now if you click on browse, as of now the status is nothing. We can make this dash. Yes, it's already dash. Now if you refresh it, now let's just check with another account, logout. So I hope we have two customers. It's the second one is Vishal 2. So let's just log in with Vishal 2 and login, and let's just book a car. All requests should be blank, and book a car, and here Dombivli to Thane and the address, sorry, time. Click on book now, and here you see it's you're logged in now, and it's your status. It's the data table is not working. Let me check why. Here we should have a table with class table and class as table, and let's just refresh, and there you go. I could not see. There you go, because this should be below your CDN. It says nothing but just table. Refresh this, and here you go, you got it. Now if you make a book a car request again from CST to Bandra, and the date, click on book now, and this is CST to Bandra, and the status is blank as of now. Now we'll create admin section. So the admin section will have three buttons: approve, reject, and completed. So in that case, when the admin makes the approval, here you will see the status on the individual user's account. Now let's just create the module for admin. So let me just log this out. So here we'll use the admin. So in the layout, sorry, in the resources, in the views, in the auth, we have login. So just copy this and create a new folder, new admin login dot blade dot php, and here you can just place this and refresh it, and you can give the URL, sorry, in the title admin login, and of course you need to make the web.php for admin login, admin login, let the URL also be admin login, and over here in the front end we need to create a function which will simply show the view of admin login. Now if I search for admin login, you will see admin login. If you want, you can change the image also, background image. Just copy this. Let me just edit. If you want, you can edit this. So it's in the ID, booking ID. So admin login, the body. So here you can give your style, a background colon URL, and you can use your image over here. So I've used this unsplash. Actually this looks like a premium. We can look for some free downloads. This looks fine. Right click, open image, new tab, and again you can just use this. Refresh it, and you see this is the login for admin. And I don't think admin needs a register, so we can remove the register. We will just have login for admin. And now what we need to do is we'll insert some values for the admin user table. Get into user and insert, and let the name be uimonk @gmail.com, and the same password. Click on go. Now you will find one entry in the user table. So this is the only admin that he would check all the check whether all the in practically is going to approve your status of the customer request. So that's the main role of admin here. Now in the front end, again in the web.php, we need to create a post request. So it's going to be admin submit function URL, the name route, and here it would just check. So again you can just simply copy the code for login submit. It would work fine, or it would work closely to our admin submit. We would be getting the request, and we would be checking the email and password, and here we would be using the authentication class. Yes, we have authentication class here. Instead of where clause, we can simply use our authentication. And here if it is invalid credentials, then we need to send them to the same admin login invalid credentials, saying that invalid credentials, the message. So here Admin, make sure you have your session. If the session has message, then display it just below your login button. Well, now with the help of authentication class, we are going to attempt with the past credentials. If it succeeds, then we would redirect them to the dashboard, or else, or just say return success, or else redirect them with a login message saying that invalid credential. Let's just check. If I type some random values, which is user@gmail.com, we know it is not there. Invalid credentials, it is taking you somewhere called, it is taking you login customer, but I want it to redirect to admin login. So actually the problem here is this action. You have to change it according to your admin login. That's why. So user@gmail.com, again it is redirecting. I think we have not refreshed it. Email and password. The force is not supported for this route. @forced admin login web.php. It should be forced. Sorry, admin submit. Actually here in the, it's not admin login, it's, you see, admin login is the get request. Admin login. Give the wrong credentials. Click on login. The force is not supported for this get method. So if there is invalid credentials, then what does admin login do? I think in the admin login, here it should be admin submit. That's why it says method related to post. Let's just see. Yes, invalid credentials. So if I make the right one, UI monk, it should say success. Instead of return, we'll use the dump and die. This is the right one. Invalid credentials, it says email password. Refresh. Admin password login. First let's just see we are able to dump and die. uimonk@gmail.com. Yes, uimonk, it's working. So if that doesn't work, we always have a choice. We'll use the custom query as we did earlier. So get the name and password and check in user table, email, and for password we don't have to make this hash. Remove the hash function. We'll get the data, and instead of credentials we'll call it as data, and instead of user email, and if there is user email, and then let's recheck again. We'll store them into the data and use the email and email and password. Then if they exist, then get them to the dashboard, and instead of home, dashboard slash home. In the dashboard we have index. We'll create one more file and call it as admin home.blade.php, and we'll copy the same request and save it over here for the admin home. So admin, we need to create the route for admin home, the get route. Admin home is the URL, the function, the name of the route, and the view for the admin home. And if the login is right, then we would be redirected to DASH dashboard home. So instead of dashboard home, we can make this admin home. This is the URL, and admin slash dashboard slash admin, dashboard slash admin slash home, just to avoid confusion. If it is successful, if it fails, then give them to the same, send them to the same page and say login is wrong. So user is not there, so you should see login invalid credential. The UI monk is there, so you should see auth.admin home is not found. So what is the name that we have given? Resources, views, dashboard. It's dashboard, then we have admin home. UI monk, bookcar data is not there. So yes, as I thought, we are passing the bookcar data so when we call this admin slash home undefined variable, so in the admin home we are expecting a variable called bookcar data. You can see bookcar data that will have all the field of the column of what, of the table book a car. So let's just do that. The same way we need to run a query, and it will send, let me just copy this, and over here we are sending them to the admin home with the data, of course, and we can simply get all, or simply get, so this will get all the data and store it over here. Now if I make a refresh, you get all the values, not only one user data but all the user data. So now what we need to do is, since we have this, so get the admin home, we can have status here, and instead of status we can make this approve or reject and completed. Now again we need to have button here, anchor tag, href, and approved, rejected. So this is going to be a button. So class VTN success, and danger rejected and completed. So now if you make a refresh, you should see 3 buttons. Of course the status should also be there because we would be upgrading it. So this is the default status. So if I click on approve, it will get approved. Just approve, just reject, just complete. Cool. Now date is there. I don't think we need email to show up here. We can remove the email just to make this look good. All request and book a car for the admin. Since you are admin, you can hide this. For the admin, we don't need this. All requests, we don't need this book. And here you can give the same name, admin home. And now if you click on the sidebar, you would be redirected to the same page, all request, since you are admin. And if I click on logout, you can look for logout, logout. So here admin logout. So we'll create this later on, but as of now you don't need to worry about this. But let's work on the approve. When I click on this button, what should happen? It should get into a URL. So now what I'm doing is, when I click on this approve button, the status, so here we need to create a web.php. We'll use the get. This is the URL. Of course we would be getting the data, which is status, and this is the function name, and this is the route name, and over here this is the function name. We will be receiving the status, and let's just display the status dollar. Cool. Now if I make a refresh and click on approve, undefined variable approve, undefined variable approve. Yes, here in this case we can simply say approved. There seems to be a problem. Let's just click one time approve, so you can see it's approved. So now it should be inside TD. I'm sorry for that. So now if I click on approve, you should see the value getting approved with the URL. Let's just see this /24. I don't know why it's coming. Let's just check. Okay, anyways, we are getting the value approved. So the same way, let's just do this for other two, reject and complete. Let's just change the bootstrap class. So that's done. So along with the status, we want to pass the ID also. Let's just do that. First of all, we want to accept that in the web.php /id and status, and then of course here we will be receiving the ID also, comma $id, and then we need to pass the ID here. It's a comma separate value, and here we'll use this ID, so we can easily use the update query to update the status. Of course, Now let's just check whether we are able to send the ID and status. Yes, status and ID. And we'll use the update query here. And with the help of the fast ID, we will find the row in the model, and then we'll get the row and update our status, and then we'll redirect, and we can save them, and then we can redirect them to the page called admin home, or simply the name with the message status updated. Refresh this, and let's just make this approve. Let's just make this reject. Let's just make this complete, and all of them have the same value called approved. We have to make this reject and completed. Refresh this again, reject this. Now this is rejected, so approved, rejected, and completed. Reject. So in the, let's just log in with the username Vishal and check, Control Shift and get it to incognito mode, and let's just log in 127 and login / customer. Now we can access the dashboard, and it should say all request. The status is blank as of now, because you know in the request we have made this blank, so instead of blank we'll just display the status. Now if I make a refresh, and it says these two, we have rejected it, but let's just see from the customer's point of view. There should be a status called both of them are rejected. And if you want to make CST to Vandra complete, so CST to Vandra from Vishal, make this approve, and if I refresh it, and you should say it's approved. And if you want to make this even good, you can simply make them inside span tag, so that's fine. So I hope, so there is one more thing, so let me just log out and try logging in with Vishal2 @gmail.com. so by default it's dashboard home. I'm redirecting to dashboard home after logging in. So front end, logging in, so after logging, submit, login customer, login customer. So I have to find, once I log in, why I am getting this. Instead I should see all the, yes, if it is right, then I need to redirect them to the request. It's a get, so little confused. And also the customer request should be inside. So even if I am not logged in, I believe I can have access to this customer login. Where is it? Request requeue. Yeah, this is it. So I'm logged out, but I believe I can have access to this even without a login, because I have not created a middleware yet. So let's just have this inside middleware, so only logged in user can have access to it. Now customer login, so now if I try to access it without writing it into the middleware, I would have access it directly. It's better that we write inside middleware and when I try to access the URL, I would be thrown back to the login page. Says that login or register to access. So let's just log in. Click login, and now once I logged in, I'm getting this page. So it's the login submit. In the front end, login submit. So this is the page, and I'm redirecting to this, and instead of this I need to redirect it to the customer request. Let's just try log out and try logging in, and now I should be redirected to the request page. So let me create another request. So this time let's just make this from Kalyan to Thane, and this is the time. Click on book now, and as of now the status is blank, and as an admin you would have got the request Kalyan to Thane, and you can make this approve, and once it is approved you can view that it's approved. Cool. Now one problem is we have to make this in the descending order. Let's just do that. And of course your table is not working. Let me see why. Bootstrap table, sorry, edit tables. So here we have the class called table, and in the layout in the app again we have table, but still it's not working. Maybe my internet is down. This could be the reason, because we have used CDN, and yes, we got it. So now let's focus on the descending order. For the admin, update status, admin home. Now we need to use the order by clause over here. Order by descending order, descending. Now as an admin you'll see the most recent first, so you can reject it or complete it according to you. So I think the scope of this video is done. So we can again, let's try to access. We need to create a middleware so that only the admin can have access. So let me just log in, log out, and I'm in incognito mode. I'm trying to access the dashboard, so I have access to this. So here we need to create a middleware again for whom? For the user, so for the admin. So let's create middleware, and here we can give the name of the middleware something different, customer check or admin. Now middleware will be created. So once we log in, so again we can check. So once you're logged in, the same as we did, we have created a session. Again we can create a session called admin ID, and we can get the user ID over here. So this is the admin ID, the session is created. Now we can have logout. So since we have customer logout, we can create admin logout too. Admin logout, name of the route, and we need to create admin logout one more time, and of course we need to forget the session created and then redirect them the login customer. So we have to create the middleware. So here we have middleware admin logout. So just like as we did, just copy this and get into here admin, and we are going to check whether we have an admin ID. redirect them to where? Redirect them to admin login. So this is admin logout, and over here in the middleware admin login and message saying that login, or the same message, login or register to access dashboard. So I think, yeah, we need to create a middleware group. So before that, before creating middleware group, we need to register them into the curl. Duplicate this. This is the class name and this is the nickname for the middleware which we are about to create, middleware group which we are about to create. So in the web.php, as we already did, just copy this one more time. This is the name of, this is the nickname, and the URL that we need to access is dashboard home. Now if I try to access, so session is not found in the middleware. We need to, in the middleware we need to call the session, and if I try to access it, I would be thrown back to the login page. Now I won't have access to the URL without logging in. So in this case the URL is this guy. That is double, I will be thrown back to the login page. So login is required since you are an admin. Cool. I hope the scope of this video is done. Thank you so much for listening.